Hey everyone, Beast Revive here. We all know the feeling, that pit in your stomach when the lights start flickering or an unexpected noise makes you jump. But what happens when those feelings of unease creep into our schools? In today's video, we'll dive into 5 spine-tingling true school lockdown stories that will give you chills. From eerie whispers to mysterious disappearances, these unsettling accounts will keep you on edge. So lock your doors, turn off the lights, and get ready for some true creepy stories that happen behind school walls. Let's begin. It was a chilly Thursday afternoon at Hillcrest High, and everything seemed normal until the intercom buzzed. A voice, shaky and uncertain, announced a lockdown. No explanation, just a chilling urgency. Students exchanged confused glances. Lockdowns were usually drills, practiced routines, but this time felt different. A palpable tension filled the air, a sense of something deeply wrong. Mr. Thompson, their history teacher, sprang into action, his usual jovial demeanour replaced by a grim seriousness. He locked the door, flipped the lights off, and ushered the students to the back of the classroom, huddling together in the darkness. Whispers rippled through the room. What was happening? Was there an intruder? A gunman? The silence outside was deafening, punctuated only by the frantic pounding of their hearts. Minutes stretched into an eternity. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of leaves against the window sent shivers down their spines. The unknown gnawed at their courage, amplifying every fear. Then a sound cut through the silence, a slow, deliberate scratching at the classroom door. The students froze, their breaths caught in their throats. Mr. Thompson motioned for them to stay silent, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and determination. The scratching continued, insistent, relentless. It felt like an eternity, but it was probably only a few seconds. Then, as abruptly as it started, it stopped. Silence descended once more, heavier and more ominous than before. At Westbrook Elementary, lockdowns were rare. So when it happened, everyone knew something was seriously wrong. The principal's voice was sharp with urgency as the lockdown announcement blared. Mrs. Davis quickly herded her second graders under their desks. The children sat in stunned silence. The only sounds were their shallow breaths and Emily's muffled sobs. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream pierced the air. It came from the hallway, echoing through the silent school. Mrs. Davis felt a chill run down her spine. It sounded like Mr. Johnson, the school janitor. Mr. Johnson was a beloved figure at Westbrook Elementary. He always had a kind word and a smile for everyone. The scream was quickly cut short, replaced by an eerie silence. Mrs. Davis held her breath, but there was nothing. The lockdown dragged on, each tick of the clock amplifying the fear. When it was safe to come out, a collective sigh of relief swept through. But Mr. Johnson was nowhere to be found. His cleaning cart was still parked in the hallway, but of Mr. Johnson there was no sign. The police investigated, but found no trace of Mr. Johnson. The unsettling incident left an indelible mark on Westbrook Elementary. The halls, once filled with laughter, now echoed with whispers of the janitor who vanished. Chapter 3. The Teacher That Vanished. Maplewood Middle School was quiet as the last rays of sunlight disappeared behind the trees. The last bell had rung, and only a handful of students lingered for after-school activities. Miss Evans, a dedicated English teacher, was alone in her classroom grading papers. Suddenly the intercom crackled to life. The principal, his voice strained, declared a lockdown. Miss Evans's heart skipped a beat. This wasn't a drill. She quickly locked her door and ushered her students into the safe corner. Outside, the hallway was eerily silent. The students huddled together, their faces pale with fear. Every tick of the clock amplified the tension. Then they heard it. A loud crash from the next classroom. Miss Evans' heart pounded. Was it the intruder? The doorknob to their classroom rattled violently. She pulled her students further into the corner, hoping the intruder wouldn't breach their sanctuary. The rattling stopped, followed by heavy footsteps retreating. Silence descended once again, thick with fear. Finally, the lockdown was lifted. Miss Evans herded her shaken students out. But the classroom next door, where the crash had originated, was empty. Chapter 4. The Whispering Locker. It was a typical morning at Brookside Junior High until a lockdown announcement blared through the school intercom. The principal's usually calm voice was edged with panic, sending a shiver down the spines of students and teachers alike. In Mrs. Thompson's 7th grade science class, the lockdown announcement was met with a flurry of nervous whispers and anxious glances. Mrs. Thompson, a seasoned teacher who had seen her fair share of drills, wasted no time in following protocol. She quickly ushered her students into the designated safe corner of the classroom, a small, windowless storage room that held old textbooks and lab equipment. The students huddled together, their faces pale with fear, as Mrs. Thompson pulled the heavy metal door shut, plunging them into darkness. Silence descended upon the classroom, broken only by the muffled sobs of a few frightened students and the frantic beating of their own hearts. The air grew thick with tension and the bitter taste of fear. As the minutes stretched into an eternity, the students listened intently to every creak of the floorboards and every groan of the old building. Each sound, no matter how insignificant, sent shivers down their spines, their imaginations running wild in the darkness. Then, from the back of the storage room, where rows of lockers lined the wall, a new sound emerged. It started as a faint whisper, barely audible above the terrified breaths of the students. At first, they dismissed it as their own heightened senses playing tricks on them. But as the whispers grew louder, more insistent, a cold dread crept into their hearts. It was as if someone or something was trapped inside one of the lockers, desperately trying to communicate with them. The students huddled closer together, their eyes wide with terror. Some covered their ears, trying to block out the eerie whispers. Chapter 5. The Shadow in the Gym. At Ridgefield High, lockdowns were rare but always taken seriously. So when the piercing alarm echoed through the hallways during a basketball game, a wave of unease washed over the crowded gymnasium. The usually deafening cheers of the crowd were replaced by a stunned silence as the principal's voice boomed through the loudspeaker, his tone grave, instructing everyone to stay calm and await further instructions. Confusion quickly gave way to fear as teachers herded students toward the designated safe zones, the basketball game forgotten. The air crackled with tension as the gymnasium lights flickered and dimmed, casting long, ominous shadows across the polished wooden floor. The basketball team, moments ago caught in the heat of the game, found themselves huddled together in the locker room, their faces etched with worry. Coach Miller, a towering figure known for his composure, paced back and forth, his brow furrowed with concern. Outside, the hallway was eerily silent. The usual pre-game buzz had been replaced by an unnerving quiet, punctuated only by the distant sound of sirens approaching the school. The weight of the unknown pressed down on everyone, fueling their anxieties. As minutes turned into an eternity, whispers of rumors began to circulate. Some spoke of a threat called into the school, while others whispered about a suspicious person seen lurking near the gymnasium entrance. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream pierced the air from somewhere within the school. The sound sent a collective shiver down the spines of those taking refuge in the locker room. The basketball team exchanged uneasy glances, their hearts pounding in their chests. Then, as quickly as it began, the screaming stopped, replaced by an even more unsettling silence. The silence stretched on, amplifying the fear that had gripped the gymnasium. The hallways of our schools, places meant for learning and laughter, can sometimes become stages for the unexplainable. These were 5 of the creepiest true school lockdown stories. Which one left you the most creeped out? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Beast Revive for more chilling true stories. Stay safe out there.